I pretended not to speak Spanish at my new job for 6 months. Just today they finally revealed why they hired me when I moved from Puerto Rico to Chicago last winter. I was desperate for work. My English was good. I'd grown up bilingual, but my accent was still strong and I'd faced rejection from 6 companies before landing an interview at Meridian Epuins. During that interview, the hiring manager Diane asked if I spoke Spanish. Something in her tone made me hesitate. My previous boss in San Juan had exploited my bilingual skills, constantly adding translation work to my responsibilities without extra pay. So I made a split-second decision. No, just English, I lied, watching Diane's face fall slightly before she recovered. That's fine, she said, making a note. Your other qualifications are impressive. To my surprise, I got the job. The pay was decent, the team seemed nice, and no one questioned my occasional accent. I kept my head down, did my work well, and tried to ignore the nagging guilt about my lie. Then strange things started happening. Every Tuesday, the entire office ordered lunch from a local Mexican restaurant. The delivery guy, Miguel, always chatted rapidly in Spanish with my coworkers. Even the receptionist, a blonde woman from Minnesota, responded confidently in Spanish. I'd pretend to be deeply focused on my computer during these exchanges. In meetings, colleagues would occasionally drop Spanish phrases or jokes, then glance at me with what seemed like disappointment when I didn't react. Once I nearly responded automatically when my cubicle neighbor asked me in perfect Spanish if I had a stapler 6 months into the job. We landed a major client, a canned grocery chain expanding across the Armenish. During the celebration happy hour, my normally reserved boss, Tom, got tipsy on margaritas and pulled me aside. You know, he slurred slightly. We were so excited when Hatter sent us your resume. A native Puerto Rican with marketing experience. We've been trying to break into the canteen market for years. My stomach dropped. What do you mean the catered grocery accounts? That's why we hired you over candidates with more experience. We figured you'd have cultural insights, maybe help with translations. He trailed off, looking confused. But then Diane said, you don't speak Spanish, which seemed odd given your background. The next morning I requested a meeting with Diane and Tom. My hands shook as I explained my lie and why I'd done it. Then switching to Spanish, I told them about my previous experiences being exploited for my language skills. Instead of anger, Diane looked relieved. We've been walking on eggshells for months. We thought maybe you were embarrassed about your heritage or had some trauma associated with Spanish, Tom added. We need your skills, but we'll compensate you properly. We're creating a new position, Hispanic market specialist, with a 15% pay increase. If you are interested. That afternoon, I brought homemade flan to the office and greeted Miguel in Spanish. When he delivered lunch, the look of surprise and delight on my coworkers' faces was priceless. Sometimes our fears from past experiences cause us to hide the very things that make us valuable. I spent 6 months pretending to be less than I am, only to discover I'd been hired precisely for what I was hiding.